All right, thank you for tuning in the channel today. Please hit that like down there and that subscribe if you haven't. It really helps the channel. My wife's always wanted a Jeep, and so about 2 weeks ago, we found a local dealer that actually had a 392 Rubicon available, and we scooped it up. And so we talked about doing the build on it, and just going to kind of in the video want to talk about some of the things and the thought processes. My dad was a Jeep person. I've never really been a Jeep person. So this is my first hands-on Jeep. I mean, I've driven them before in the past, but not any of the new ones. The lighter Jeeps, I guess, with the smaller engines, I've driven them. The older body styles, they were a little bit more squirrely. I went and drove this 392, and it really felt planted just because of the weight, I guess. And it drove really good on the highway, had good power. Mileage was decent, to be expected. I think it was probably getting 13, 14, something like that, before the lift, wheels and tires, stuff like that. So anyway, but I was pretty impressed with the drive on it. And so we got it here to the house, and some of the first thoughts: wheels, tires, what lift, and decisions that we're going to make on it. Now this one did not have the XR package, so it has the 373 gears, so I was concerned on that, going to the larger tire. But with the horsepower there, I was like, well, maybe it'll be okay. So to start off, we went ahead and went with the 37 1350/20 Toyo MT Open Countries. They're just they're a softer tire. I've ran all these. I've ran the Nittos, I've ran the Toyos, I've ran all of them on my truck. I like the aggressive look of the Toyos, and I like that they're a softer rubber. They're not going to last as long to me, but they do give a pretty good ride. And for the weight of the Jeep, I wanted a decent ride, and I wanted it to drive well for her. For me, in my reference, I've ran Nittos. The Nittos are great too. They're a little bit harder rubber to me, I think, and they last a little bit longer. So, that's all preference of what you like. I mean, there's tons of options out there. On the wheels, we went with the Fuel Assaults. Those are the 20x12s. And, I really like those. And we'll go around the back here in a little bit. And I did 20x12s on the 4 on the ground. And I did a 20x10 on the back, because really, for the spare, I don't need it to stick out. I'm not going to be one of those that's going to put the spare on it and run the spare that often. But I did do a full size spare. Just went with a 20x10 width, just so it doesn't stick off the back of the Jeep so far. When we started looking at it, I mounted up these with it stock to see how it would fit, right? I just wanted to see the clearance and things like that. And two of the things that you'll run into whenever you mount the tires up and you put a 37 with a 12 wide. Now I know a lot of people say you can run 37s, and yeah, on a stock wheel, maybe even a 9-inch, maybe a 10-inch wide wheel, but when you get to the 12-inch wide wheel, it's a different animal. So I'm just telling you my experiences from the 12-inch wide wheel. The two close spots that we had was the wings on the bumper, which are, you can unbolt those on these. It's got the steel bumper, and then the rock rails. On the rock rails, basically, the stock rock rails, when they're bolted on, they come out to about right here. So the two places that the 37s were going to rub were the rock rails and the front wings on the 12-inch wide wheels. And these are 1350s also, so they're not 1250s. So 1250s may do a little better for you, but when you go with that real width, that's where your issues are going to be, right there and right there. And so when I got that, I was like, looking at it, and if I'm going to flex the Jeep, I ordered the 4.5-inch Evo kit. I looked at the 2.5 first, and I was like, let's go ahead and go with the 4.5. That way we know we have plenty of clearance. But then I got it in the shop the next day after I'd already ordered the lift, and I took the rock rails off and took the wings off. There was plenty of clearance on the 37s. Now we were close to the fenders. Right there on the inner part of the fender, at full lock, it was probably maybe about a 1/2 inch. So not a lot of clearance there. So I was like, go ahead and continue. We'll just get the 4.5 and put it on there. So we ordered the 4.5. It came in, I put it on the Jeep, and it was a great lift. It rode really good. It was just a little too tall. It was a little too tall for my wife, and we had a lot of clearance with the 4.5. We probably could have ran 40s. So I looked at it and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and the thing about Evo that's great is I got the adjustable arms on the bottom on the front, and I've got the adjustable arms on the top on the back. And so you can set your driveline angles and get them exactly where you want them, which is really nice about the Evo lift. So the only thing that I did is I had the Fox 2.0 shocks on the 4.5 just because we were so long. But I went ahead, since we were going back to the 2.5, I ordered the 2.5-inch coils, and I got the shock extensions. And so I can put the factory Rubicon shocks back on. And that also saves you some money if you're just ordering the 2.5 straight up. It's a pretty reasonable kit. So I would say the 2.5 kit from Evo, it rides a little bit better than stock. I'll show you under the deal here in a little bit. It actually got brackets that bring the arms down, so you're not increasing your angles, you're not pulling that axle in. So those brackets actually bring those arms down, keep the geometry correct, the 2.5-inch cools, and the adjustable arms that you adjust the driveline angles. I mean, it's a really good lift. And you know, me not being a Jeep person, I put lifts on lots of trucks. I mean, this lift took me maybe 2.5 hours to put on. It's just, Jeeps are so easy. Everything's very light and forgiving. You know, you just unplug your differential locks and take your brake line brackets off and unbolt your track bars and jack it up, and it's pretty simple. So anyway, I was impressed with how the simplicity of it, and I kind of get the Jeep thing because they're really easy to work on and really easy to do things to. So overall, we'll do a walk around here in a minute. There's another video I'm going to do on the TPMS, and so look on my channel if you want to see that. There's an issue with the 21 and the TPMS sensors, and I'll explain that in another video. And the other thing I'm going to go over is the spare tire carrier on the back. I ordered the Mopar stuff. That'll be a separate video also, but I'll just kind of hint about what the problem is there. So you subscribe to the channel, you'll catch those on the next 2 videos. But overall, the Jeep really drives good. I feel like it is almost better than stock. You do have some road noise from the tires. You know, that's to be expected. Power-wise, you know, I feel like the 373s, it does do a little bit of shifting between 7th and 8th. You know, if we've got the kids in there and me and the wife in there both. You know, if you're driving it by yourself, it'll kind of catch 8th at 76, 77, and you're fine. You know, it'll stay in gear. So I think it probably needs the 456s. I could go to the 488s and make it, you know, even right where it needs to be. But I think if you ever do the 488s, you really lock that Jeep up. If you ever go back to stock, it's not gonna, you know, if somebody puts a 35-inch tire, I don't want to be geared out that far. I like to stay a little closer to stock. So anyway, I know I'm rambling, just kind of trying to go over some of the things in the thought process. I did use the Taser JL Mini, which is a great option. You can clear your codes, you plug it in, you can correct the speedometer, I mean, to the 10th. And you know, it's the speedometer corrections are, you can take it to the dealer and yeah, they can flash it for you and they're gonna get close. But you know, it's off a higher percent, you know, it's a percentage of what you're driving. So, you know, it may be exact at 55, it may be 1 mile an hour off, but it may be 3 miles an hour off at 75. So I always like the option on my vehicles to be able to change it in those 1/8-inch increments, and so that we can get it exactly right. I actually like my speedometer to show 1 mile an hour faster than what I'm actually going, just because, well, I get pulled over, I got a little bit of grace in there. So anyway, but to talk about any of that, you know, the 2.5 sits well. Like I said, we'll do a walk around. We'll go over that. We'll go over the Taser JL Mini, kind of how it installs, and then we'll do a short drive on it. Just kind of wanted to give my overall experience of the whole deal. Okay, so if you look here, you can see your Evo lower arms are adjustable, and then you can see the bracket that bolts in and brings those arms down to the right geometry. I did put the amp steps on. I did want the Power XLs, but they were on back order for a really long time. So just went ahead with the standard amps because I could get those. With the 2.5, it's really nice. You know, we looked at the stock Jeep ones, and you know, the stock Jeep ones they come straight out right here. So that's a pretty high step, and they're pretty slick. So, you know, just to me, I'd rather have something that drops down. These amps actually came with the LED lights on the bottom, which is a nice adder. So what we'll talk about on the back is you know, if you order this from Mopar, this reinforcement kit right here, they're going to tell you can mount a 37. Well, this is the other part of the Mopar kit. You get this reinforcement bracket, this bracket, and the brake light. Now, I didn't use the brake light kit because basically you reroute the wire in here, you put it to the outside, makes it a little bit longer, and you can move this up. So moving it up, got it up that high for me. Like I said, I'll do another video on that to kind of explain what I'm going to do to correct the problem. But if you look down here, we're dragging the bumper, so you're having to slam the gate. So I've got an issue for that. Catch it on the next video. And then you can see here, I just took the center out of the center cap. And like I said, that's a 10 wide for the spare. It just made it where it didn't stick out so far. Okay, so pop the hood real quick. For those of you that haven't seen the 392 or don't have experience with it, they fit it in there. I mean, you're basically a 6.4 V8. And if you look, the hood scoop's really nice. They're actually pushing the heat off the back of the firewall and pushing the heat down from the engine. And then they're also using that hood scoop for your inlet for your engine also. So two functions. It is a functional hood scoop. It's not there for decoration. Then also your Jeep right here has the performance mode button for the exhaust. You can turn the performance mode off and on, which makes it a little bit louder. We'll go ahead and video a startup for you. Okay, so I pulled the Taser JL Mini out just to show you how easy it is to install. You can leave this in, or you can put your settings in it and pull it out. Now, there is some features that are available, like light show and a couple things. You know, what's nice is if it is installed, that you can clear your codes on it, or if you have any issues, stuff like that. So it's a very easy install. I'll go ahead and show you where that's at. Okay, so your module, I can't show you because it's dark up there, but it's right here. If you feel around, it's right under this plastic. You just make sure the Jeep's off. There's two plugs. You pull both those plugs off right there. And then you have these two connectors. Sorry, I'm trying to hold the phone and do this at the same time. So once you've got that plugged in, I just route it up here and tuck it in. The first thing we're going to look for is we're going to go to audio. And then once you get to audio, again, I'm going to try to do this holding the phone. You hold the left arrow cruise, and then you're going to push the cancel. And then you'll see it says light show performance. That's where you would hit plus or minus to select your tire size. Like right now, I've got these at 37.43 and they're on the money. And then your gear ratio, 373, and then it just has those. And then it has the TPMS system. You can change your tire pressures if you want, so the light doesn't come on. Anyway, some nice functions. It's just there. You don't even really know it's there. But if you have any issues, you can read your DTCs and clear them in the screen, which is nice. Okay, now this Jeep is equipped with the power top. Just wanted to do a quick video on that. I'll show you what that looks like. It's basically a soft top. It's reinforced really well on the roof. If you look from the bottom, it's got lots of reinforcements to the front and the back. Then to open it, it's just right here. It's a one touch. Kind of opens just like a sunroof. And that's what it looks like in the open position. It just kind of pulls it to the back. Now this top is removable, and these quarter panels are removable. So right here, you can flip the knobs up here, pull these quarters out, and then that top is actually attached with the back glass and a bracket. There's bolts along right here. It is a little more work to remove the power top, so if you're looking for a Jeep that you can just pull the top off quickly and you don't, you know, you want the full function of it having off, it's probably better to go with the other top. But if you want something that's just easy accessible, you can roll the windows down and open that top. It's just a little more on the trade-off of a little more work to remove it. So anyway, that's what it looks like. Same thing here, you go to your button, you hit the close, you can see it coming forward, and it seals off great. I went through the drive-through car wash and no issues, no leaks, nothing. And it seats in and it's done. Okay, so we're gonna do about a half throttle acceleration here. Just so you can kind of hear the road noise with the 37s. Cruise set at 75 miles an hour. As you can tell, not very much road noise. It drives pretty good, not having to do a lot of steering input. Overall impressed with it being a Jeep for the highway speed and 37s. And we're turning probably about, see, it's in 7th gear. Turning about 21 to 2200. So that's where the 456s would definitely come in handy if you're going to run a heavier tire like this. See, going up the overpass here, see if it downshifts. It's maintaining. Exit. But comparatively, I would say, you know, it has a little bit more road noise than like a half-ton truck. But as far as how it drives, steering, braking, you know, and that's one of the impressive things for me on this Jeep is, you know, you go put 37s on even a 3/4 ton or 1-ton truck that are this weight, and you feel a pretty good amount of brake fade. You know, it's just the weight of the tires and the wheels. And I was pretty impressed with the Jeep. The brakes feel really good with these 37s. I mean, it feels like you barely push on the brake pedal and it's stopping. So they did go to a lot bigger disc on these 392s. So I think that helps. But as far as brake fade, I didn't notice hardly any putting these 37s on here. I would say the vehicle still drives. So I'd like to thank you for watching the video today. If you don't mind, hit that like down there and that subscribe. That's the 392 build. Stay tuned. We're going to have the TPMS thing. If you've got an issue with your TPMS on the 21, we're going to explain that or later. And then also on the spare tire carrier, we're going to explain how to correct that problem, how to get the tire up, and then how to get it out of your backup alarm when you're back up, how the sensors are setting it off a little bit on that back right corner. Get that corrected too. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching the video. We'll catch you on the next one.